Welcome into Forward Progress, where we grade the free agents. We are presented by FanDuel. I am G-Stack George, Director of Marketing at The Hammer and host of Forward Progress. I am not alone. I brought in two of our regulars on the team. We got Rob Pizzola, CEO of The Hammer and professional sports bettor, and Austin Mock from The Athletic. Also, you saw him all year on the Thursday Best Bet show on Forward Progress. How are you guys?
I'm good, man. I'm enjoying what we're seeing. Lots of action this week. And anytime you get players moving around in the NFL, if you're like a diehard like I am, you just get excited about that. Seeing which people are going where. Did they overpay? Did they underpay? How's that going to affect next season? So I've been in a comfort zone the last 3 days here, George.
Yeah, I get reminded why the NFL is king. Just when day one free agency was crazy and day two kind of slowed down, and then we get a bombshell at night that a deal gets canceled. And I don't think I've ever seen one for a superstar caliber player. Austin, we'll start with you here because we obviously went and debated, and I've heard everything. I've heard that it is a medical reason. I've heard that the Ravens got cold feet. Let's discuss what you actually think. If you had to divide a percentage in a pie chart of how much do you think it's BS that it was medical versus cold feet, how would you say? How would you divide it?
Maybe I'll be copping out here a little bit. I'm going to kind of plant 50-50 right now. I'm in wait and see mode. I can't trash either side yet. I guess there would only be trashing one side because I don't think the Raiders did anything wrong. But yeah, I think it's possible that the Ravens got cold feet. I know that's a lot of the chatter from a lot of the sourcing that's going on. I need to see if the deal, like if anything happens, and maybe it's become such a issue, and it's there's the value's been killed, and people don't want to trade for him, whatever it is. If we see him and he plays great for the Raiders next year, or if he gets traded in the next week or so, 2 weeks, whatever it is in this offseason, I guess. And it's still a fair value, then I will be like, okay, yeah, they got cold feet. But if nobody trades for him, and then like if he goes out and doesn't have if he has a significant drop off in play, maybe there was something in the medical there. So it's one of those things where I think that the tampering, having the 2-day window is like, I know it's great for drama and entertainment for us, it's awesome, but like this is why this happens, because you can, if you do think the Ravens did it. Yeah, they saw that the Hendrickson market wasn't as strong, and maybe they can get cold feet and change. Just get rid of the tampering window, and I think we'll see a lot less of this, which granted, we don't still see a lot of it, but I'll plant my flag in the middle, 50-50, Ravens cold feet, and they're actually being a medical issue.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, listen, we may never get the full truth because NFL reporting now is mostly just like forwarding stuff from agents. Like it's not actual reporting anymore, right? But there is an outcome that I think people completely are dismissing, which is that the medicals were actually a lot worse than they expected. And they just said no. Like nowadays, everything it lends itself to like the whole conspiracy side of things. And of course, this worked out well where they could back out of the situation and still be able to get a player like Hendrickson and move for him. It obviously looks really bad. Now the Raiders, they have less leverage. Completely sucks for them. I think it's going to be hard for them to get anywhere near the package that they were offered from Baltimore. And it sucks, but like, I don't like immediately jump to the tinfoil hat. No, they did this intentionally. I don't know. I'm more of like a benefit of the doubt guy, George.
All right. Since you guys want to play around and be Mr. Diplomatic, I have no league connections to burn, so let me burn them. One of our loyal watchers is a Ravens fan. He said, George, do me a favor when you guys talk about this Maxx Crosby thing. Defend my Ravens. I know you're smart enough to know that they backed out only for medical reasons, and I'm not buying it. I think it's clear cold feet. I hate it. I'll tell you why I hate it. We live in a generation where if you make a mistake, you get to hit the undo button without consequences. I absolutely hate that. They clearly overpaid. I thought 2 firsts when one of them is a 14th overall pick was insane. This isn't Micah Parsons, who was younger, who frankly was better. And it wasn't 2 seemingly picks in the late firsts, which would have been the price of a Micah Parsons. I thought the Ravens overpaid. I don't think the Raiders will get anywhere near that. And if I'm a GM, I don't know that I would do business with the Ravens again after something like this. I'd be hesitant because I remember a draft day trade that they agreed to with the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
And then they pretended that the call didn't get into the league office and Chicago had to make their pick. So the Ravens have a history of doing some funny business when they come to their senses and realize they overpaid.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, some might say. I love when we do these shows in real time. Maxx Crosby on his Instagram right now just sent out a picture of what appears to be Skyline chili, the three-way spaghetti that they have. I don't know I think Skyline chili is disgusting, but Bengals. I mean, this could mean two things, right? He could be referencing the Trey Hendrickson situation and how he kind of got like undercut, or I don't know. Are we going to hear something about the Bengals acquiring Maxx Crosby in the next couple hours or so? So this adds like another element to the entire story. But that would be an interesting fit because obviously they lose a bona fide stud pass rusher and they would be picking one up, albeit health concerns.
Austin, I said the cynic in me wouldn't mind the Trey Hendrickson maybe gets an injury and it becomes an awful contract. I just think Baltimore deserves karma that they're not getting. And I guess I just got to live with it. I don't know why it bothers me, but
I cannot believe that, George, it's one thing for you to openly admit to rooting for other players to get injured so that you can win your bets. But now you're looking for a spite injury on something that does not affect your life whatsoever. Like this is a new low for you, George, a new low.
Yeah, you know what? It is a new low. As the words were coming out of my mouth, I said, wow, I can't believe this is what I'm asking for. Listen, you heard 3 opinions on the trade. I actually want to hear from you guys in the comments because we are live today. We don't get to do live content much in the offseason, although we're going to be doing some watch-alongs for the draft and Connor and NCI 95 and Wheels Up and Dan Rivera and Huckleberry Finn. It's very nice to see you all. Paul. Let's talk about the Trey Hendrickson signing, and we'll start doing some grades because that was the goal before we found out the Maxx Crosby thing happened. 4 years, it looks like 112 to 120. That's the range. So either 28 to 30 million a year. Trey Hendrickson to Baltimore. We'll start with you, Austin. What would you grade this signing for the Ravens?
Maybe I'm a little pessimistic. I don't know, but I'll go like it was tough for me, like C+ to B-. I'll go. I'm low. He's old and he's just coming off an injury, which he missed significant time this year. He's gonna be, I think, pushing 31. This is gonna be a 31-year-old season. You start talking about. I understand that he has been one of the best, pass rushers in the league for the last handful of years. But you start getting that age curve going, and it's not great afterwards. And then on top of that, like the way that Jesse Minter wants to play his defense is we just saw it with Mike McDonald and the Seahawks. They want to defend the run from light boxes. Trey Hendrickson's not a great run defender. So that I don't know if it fits all of their needs. Obviously, they need pass rushing help in Baltimore. But when they factor in the age curve and everything, I know I think it's 15 million guaranteed over the 4 years, 60 million total. So I'd probably lean more towards like the B-, but I don't think it's a home run. Maybe you get 2 years out of them and you can save money with the guaranteed. But I don't think this is like 30. The age thing just really hurts me because I don't know if it depends on the contract. What do those last 2 years look like? But that's where I'm at. I think it's a good player, obviously. But he's on the wrong side of 30, and it's not great on that side of 30 for the NFL players.
I agree with a lot of that, but I'm a little bit more optimistic. I'm a huge Trey Hendrickson fan, so I'm going to go with a B here. I think if you're going to pay premium money somewhere, edge rusher is one of the few places that I can live with because those guys can actually wreck games. I also am going to call a little bit of BS on the Hendrickson injury last year. I think he was probably good to go down the stretch, but didn't want to risk, obviously, getting injured again and hurting this deal that he signed. So I don't think we're going into next year where he's kind of like he's coming off some sort of significant injury. My guess is that this deal looks pretty good for maybe a year or two, and then probably starts to age poorly on the back end once we get into years 3 and 4. But I think it's fine. Really good player. Definitely an overpay on the wrong side of 30 for sure. But I'll give the Ravens a B, George.
So I kind of lean, and I'm a harsh grader. I hate free agency. I think it's the time where everyone overpays. I almost love being in that day 4 or 5 wave, and even the post draft wave of like true value guys. I give it a C plus. I worry you paid him for the production he's had, and I'm not sure that like he sustains that for even more than a year. Versus, someone got a similar contract, and we'll get to that, but they're far younger, and I actually don't think we've seen their best football. Although they carry some injury risk as well. So I ended up going C plus, 31 years old. I don't love the 4-year deal, especially when like you start to hear yesterday before the Crosby stuff that Hendrickson's market was softening because maybe he didn't get what he was expecting. I was actually shocked when I saw the number. So that was the other perspective. I thought when I started hearing it was softening, I'm thinking, oh, he's looking at 2 or 3 years and it's probably 60 to 90. So when I see the 4 years, I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel soft at all. I think he got the top of his market, if I'm being honest. Here's a guy who I think came in under what expectations were. Malik Willis is a Miami Dolphin complete stunner. I thought he was bound for Arizona. We had heard 2 years, 60 was on the table. Ends up signing for 3 years, 67.5, and about 45 guaranteed. Austin, we'll start with you here. What are your instant reactions to this contract?
Going into free agency, I was like, this is going to be an overpay because he had very small sample in a very good system in Green Bay. And I thought for sure we were going to, with those 30 million numbers thrown out there, I thought we were going to see that. But at 15 million per year guaranteed, like it's not terrible for a team that has like, this is where you kind of have to adjust for what the team is. Like they have no answer quarterback right now. The Dolphins are probably not contending in the next 2 years. Like I think year 3 is probably more. So like it's a decent flyer. Like one, you're not really, even if he does play well, you're not committing a lot of money to the position if he does turn into like an above average starter. And also like that's like 15 million guarantees, like kind of close to backup quarterback money. Like, so it's not, I think it's a pretty good deal. I'll go in like the B range because I don't see him as a, I can't project him as like a, hey, he's going to be a top 12 starter in the league or something like that. But for what the situation the Dolphins are currently in, I think they got him for a pretty solid price as a little bit of a flyer. So I'll go B for what the Dolphins are. They got a decent upside for not that much money.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm going to give this one a B. I think the hard part is figuring out how much of what Malik Willis did in Green Bay is real versus how much of it is Matt LaFleur magic, because he was so bad in Tennessee that I think you have to at least consider the possibility that he's a bit of a LaFleur merchant. But I also think he's probably somewhere in between Tennessee disaster and like Green Bay savior. And for Miami, it's a good swing to take. Like they're not going anywhere in the next 2 years anyways. So if it hits, you found your quarterback, you sign him long-term. If it doesn't, you reset and like no harm, no foul. You're still picking high in the draft. So I think this is a really good fit in, B is a high grade for me in free agency. I don't think they got a steal by any stretch of the imagination, but totally reasonable. And I think works with what the organization's doing.
We'll make it a triple B. I kind of share all those sentiments. Best case scenario, he's the guy. And year 3, you're going to sign him to extension. But year 3, you have a cheap, very good quarterback that you might, if you have fixed your roster, that could be the year you make the serious run at it. And if he's bad, I don't think he's I don't think he's good enough to cost you games. Like if he's just an average quarterback, the roster's not good. We're probably looking at a 6 or 7 win Dolphins team. And this, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, but from what I'm seeing, this looks like a pretty good draft as far as like CJ Carr and Julian Sain and potentially Lenoris Sellers. It feels like there's some options in this draft. There might be 3, 4, 5 first round quarterback talents. Obviously they could underperform, but I don't think you have to be in the top 3 to nail the quarterback in next year's draft.
Yeah, I agree. And also with the quarterback, like these guys like Fernando Mendoza was nowhere to be found at this time last year. And I would even say like Ty Simpson wasn't there. Drew Auer was a name that was thrown out there. Like, so there's a lot that can change with quarterbacks now. So I think it's one of those things where you just, even if you're not getting that top pick because Willis is better than he, isn't like a bottom barrel guy. Like you can, the quarterback position, drafting them is so kind of random that I think you can get those guys. Like Ty Simpson, people are like, he had a horrible second half of the year. He had a great first half of the year for Alabama. So I'm not like too worried about it. You can keep, this is just like another dart throw in a way. Yeah. Like, hey, we have to pay money anyway. Like, so let's just throw some money out there. The incentives can get up there. There's not that much money invested in Malik Willis, who, if he continues to play like he did in Green Bay, it's going to look like an A+. But if he doesn't, I don't even think it's like a D. Like, I don't even know if it can fail miserably because they didn't invest that much money. And that's kind of what you should be doing in free agency.
These are the lottery tickets you take, especially at a quarterback position.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. I'll lead off because I'm pretty harsh on this. Alec Pierce signs with the Colts, 4 years, $116. So just under $30 million a year. And Daniel Jones gets tendered and then signs a 2-year extension that could be worth up to $100 million off an Achilles. I'm going to grade those a C- for Alec Pierce and a D for Daniel Jones. I really do hate what Ballard has done in Indy. He just keeps going all in at the wrong time. He keeps pushing in his chips badly in bad positions. Off an 8-game sample size, he mortgaged the future for Sauce Gardner, who has not played at that level that he was in the past. And then when you see what Trent McDuffie went for after, you're like, I'd rather have McDuffie maybe A to A and at the price tag that the Rams ended up paying. I just don't like committing all this money to a team that I just frankly don't think is talented enough to make any serious run in the AFC. Rob, are you as harsh as I, or are you a little bit more favorable?
No, I'm actually harsher than you.
Okay.
I'm going D for Alec Pierce and D+ for Daniel Jones. So they're both in the D category, but the Colts, I think, have had a disastrous free agency. And that includes Arden Key as well, who they signed, where, I mean, Arden Key's now 30 years old. He's been basically getting worse now for the last 3 years. So not a ton. I think it was 2 years, $20 million, if I remember correctly. But Alec Pierce, I'm actually a big Alec Pierce fan. I thought he was one of the more underrated receivers in the league before this contract. But that's the problem. He's now being paid like a bona fide stud, not like an underrated ascending player. And that's a very different bar to clear. So this is one of those deals where liking the player and liking the contract are two very different things. I like the player. I do not like paying him as though he's already a top-end receiver. And I think this is where the Colts got way too aggressive. For Daniel Jones, I mean, the reality is the Colts are very limited in what they could do because this quarterback class in free agency is not good. Some people are really going to like this because the Colts were good with him last year. There's not many QBs available. I understand all that. First of all, I'd be very skeptical of any quarterback coming off of an Achilles injury, as I always am. I also think the league started to figure out what the Colts were doing offensively with Daniel Jones. So I get why they felt like they needed a guy, but it feels way too underwhelming and too expensive for me. I think the Colts have had a terrible last, like,
since Luck retired, they have just not figured out the most important position in football.
No, and you think about the optimism at the start of the first month of last year. We're like Colts Super Bowl contender, and now I'm like, what a disaster franchise that they are right now. But I hated this free agency for them so far, Austin.
Yeah, they went from not punting for the first like 3-4 games, whatever it was. Like they're setting records for most drives without punting. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. Probably a little bit higher on Alec Pierce. The only reason I'm going to give a little bit of grace to the Alec Pierce is it might look better in time because the top of the wide receiver market really hasn't blown through. Like Jamar Chase, the only guy over 40 million. Like it's like I feel like there's a jump coming. So like maybe in 2 years that doesn't look as bad. That's the only thing that gets me into like I'm scrounging to the C- range. I'm a fair D for Daniel Jones. I don't believe that in 8-game sample size you should be going for it. It also the way that I think about this is like I think Steichen was a lot of the reason that was successful, and you still have him. So like try to redo it with someone like we just talked about it. Like Malik Willis is getting $15 million. Could he do it with a good offensive mind? That type of thing. So I'm not saying that that's the way they should have went. And again, the market out there, there's not a lot of options, but I don't love. We've seen the Achilles for quarterbacks not go well. Daniel Jones, one of the things that's like he does have some athleticism. If that athleticism is shot,
yes,
what like the ceiling for him or like the floor just go way lower. So yeah, I'm more so I'm not a fan of the Daniel Jones signing. I don't even like how many games are you getting out of him next year? Is another question as well. So definitely don't like that one. The Alec Pierce one. A little bit higher on, but still a little bit wait and see to see what the market wide receiver market turns into, because there were a lot of money being thrown around at that position this year.
It's hard when DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin get 32 million last year. They basically ruined the market. But it feels like the wide receiver position, if you like, that's the one position I want to just exclusively draft and then extend my guys that I like, because anytime you have to sign someone else's receiver, they either have to be washed, old, or you're overpaying for a guy is still in his prime years. That being said, Mike Evans signs with the 49ers. At first blush, we heard early reports of 3 years, 60, and I was freaking out. I said, for Mike Evans, he's 33. And then we hear 3 years, 42 million, and it's like only like 15 of it is guaranteed, which is like basically 1 year of it is guaranteed. And then I really like the deal. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, this is a B- for me, because maybe Evans is not the same receiver. I think he still showed flashes when he returned from injury. I'm like, he's still good, and I don't mind the money, $14 million a year essentially for a Mike Evans, and only 1 year real commitment. I kind of like it. That's kind of the area I want to swing if I'm buying a receiver.
I would tend to agree. I went C+ on Evans. I agree with a lot of what you said. The only issue for me is when you look at the 49ers more broadly, their skill position group is so fragile already, right? Like Brock Purdy has dealt with stuff. George Kittle, he won't be back to start next year. He's always playing through something. McCaffrey always has health issues. Their wide receiver room decimated for years. So I understand why they desperately wanted another weapon. I don't blame them for that, but there is risk. I mean, there's enough age here. There's enough fragility. Like Mike Evans has logged a lot of reps, right? And last year we finally saw it where it was just like, okay, now he can't play through this nagging hamstring injury that he has all season long. And I just wonder if it's all going to catch up to him very quickly. I've always loved Mike Evans. He's a great player. If he's the Mike Evans we're accustomed to, it will be a steal. But I just tend to believe that he's the type of guy, he has the type of profile that will drop off a cliff pretty rapidly. Just my 2 cents on it. C+ for the 49ers, Austin.
Yeah, I'll go a little bit higher. I'll go B, mainly because of the fit. I think he fits them like perfect. I think he is like, if in a kind of a wild, expensive wide receiver market, he's a guy like Alec Pierce would have been a guy that could fit it as well. But obviously at that price tag versus this one, I like this deal better. Because it is that, like, I do agree that it would have been higher if this, obviously if this was 3 years ago without the age and the injury concerns. That's what's keeping this down for me. But you're talking about a team that faces like 65% heavy boxes, and now you have a guy that can maybe win on the outside and win deep. And I think that kind of unlocks something, which is kind of crazy because the offense was good last year and has been good when they're healthy. So I like it from that standpoint. I think the fit is, I'm going to go towards the fit because, again, it's not super expensive. The 49ers are still in a Super Bowl window. And when you're looking at the free agent market, this wide receiver like makes the most sense in my mind. If even if it's 1 year type of thing, and that's what the guaranteed money shapes out to be. So I'll go B, hoping he stays healthy, because I think that he would, says like a football fan, I think he really can, if he gets 17 healthy games out of Mike Evans, that's a fun piece to put in there. But again, I do believe the injury concerns, and I think to your point, Rob, about when the age catches up, there's not a lot of wins with the style of play that Mike Evans has.
It reminds me of the Stephon Diggs deal from last year with New England, where it's cheap enough. If you get the full boat, you're going to overperform the contract. And either way, you can cut ties at the end of the season cheaply enough. FanDuel's putting you in control right from tip-off. That's right. You get to choose your reward. Play it safe. Go for it. Feeling bold, that's your move. whatever your style, you're in control. You decide what kind of better you are. Maybe you bet Bam Adebayo alternate points over, and you're just laughing today. The shot caller, the strategist, the steady hand at the line, no matter how you play, FanDuel's giving you the power to choose your reward and own your game this NBA season. Head to FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to make your choice. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. And I got to say, it is nice to see the audience is live with us. They're participating in the chat. Drop your grades as we are grading them. I want to know what you guys say. Maybe you guys have an outlier opinion. Also, do us a favor, smash the like button. It goes a long way in helping us in this algorithm. Drop a comment. Want to hear it all. Want to read it all. Even if you don't watch it live, drop it after. I read all the comments. All right, let's keep with the receivers. I actually think this ends up being my favorite receiver signing, Romeo Doubs. I've heard mixed reports on his contract. I think it's closer to 4 years, $70 million.
Yeah.
Obviously with incentives. Let's start with that before we get into the rest of the Patriots signings. Basically $17.5 million per year, which I guess is a high-end receiver too. Austin, let's start with you. What do you make of the Romeo Doubs signing?
So he's young, which is going to be helpful. He still is, that's one of the big things that I like about it. I haven't seen the guaranteed number out there. I know the deal is like a max of up to 20 million a year, so 80 million total. It's kind of hard to grade it fully without the guaranteed number. Like that's the key to a lot of these deals, because they're always structured in a way that the team can get out if a guy falls off a cliff, as they do so often. So I'm kind of in the middle. Like I like the upside. I think with Drake May, like he just needs weapons, right? Like so it's a solid, like I'm in like the C+ range. It's hard for me to go like too far to one way. Like if it was, a lot of it's guaranteed, then I'm, obviously going to tone it down a little bit, but he is a guy. Like I think they just need weapons. Diggs wasn't gonna be that guy at what he was commanding in the market. So without the guaranteed money, it's tough. I like the signings overall that the Patriots, the second year in a row that they're active in the free agency market, and I think they're doing a decent job. So I think they're in like the B range overall as what they're doing, but the Doubs one is tough without knowing but like C+ B- range is probably where I land on him.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that George likes a Patriots signing first and foremost. This is just basically, I don't know how this happened for a Dolphins fan, but he seems to like the Patriots just as much as the Dolphins, which is bordering on absurd now at this point. I actually also like the Patriots offseason somewhat, but it's not because of the Romeo Doubs deal. I actually think the Elijah Vera Tucker deal, I'm a huge fan of buying good players when their stock is a little lower than it should be. I think that's exactly how you should treat free agency. I think that's what it is, because Elijah Vera Tucker is a very versatile offensive lineman. If he stays healthy, that could end up being one of the better value signings in this class. Draymond Jones for me is also fine. Good player, addresses a need, not terrible at all. I'm not calling it some massive win either. To me, Romeo Doubs, he's fine. He's 25 years old. To Austin's point, he's got some upside. He just really hasn't taken that next step yet. Maybe it is that next step under Drake May. Guaranteed money, so important here. We don't know the number. As it stands right now, I would probably give the Doubs signing something like a C and the Patriots overall a B. But this is the one where I reserve the right to change my opinion on Romeo Doubs, because we don't have all the information just yet, George.
Yes. Well, you know what it is for me? Oftentimes in free agency, you either paying a guy to reset a market or like paying his ceiling outcome, or you're paying them for past performance. With Doubs and Vera Tucker, I actually think you're paying guys who actually have maybe more in the tank than they've showed, which that's kind of what I like, especially when you're in the middling range. And then Draymond Jones is just like a solid. He's like one of those underrated guys who's just always does well, but doesn't have a flashy name. I'm in the B range for them. Another guy who got paid, Wan'Dale Robinson, signs with the Titans. The Titans made a bunch of signings. It's a lot to talk about. They had a lot of money to spend, and they spent it. But I guess for myself, I'll start with Wan'Dale. I don't like paying Wan'Dale. I don't like that Brian Daboll came in and insisted on Wan'Dale and Bellinger paying them. Like Bellinger got paid healthy too. And then they like pay Alontae Taylor, a slot corner, $20 million a year. John Franklin Myers, I know he's earned a big contract, but he's 31 and you're paying him $63 million for 3 years. There was some good value. I like Cordell Flott, but I don't know. They got better, but I don't think they spent their money well. I'm struggling to give him a grade higher than a C, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat as you. This happens every year with the teams that have money to spend. They start to fill gaps on their roster, and the Titans have a ton, but they do it by like slightly overpaying everyone to fill those gaps. And the Titans are going to be better next year. No question, they're going to be better. But once they start to get into the mix in the AFC, they've spent too much now on guys that are not going to move the needle for them. They're just fine starters. So I don't like this offseason for the Titans. I know that they had to spend. Wan'Dale, to me, I completely agree. I may be harsher on him than a lot of other people are. I don't get the love. He's fine for like easy completions and some separation underneath. He's small. He's limited. He's one of the more overrated receivers in this free agent class for me overall. John Franklin Myers, you mentioned it. Like John Franklin Myers isn't even coming off of a great season with Denver. He's one of the weak points on the defense. I think people are a little too enthusiastic about what Denver's done here. The Titans have done here because they've just added a lot of players. And that's going to get people excited, but it's not getting me excited in terms of what they've done in the offseason here.
Yeah. Austin, do you echo those sentiments? When he said Wan'Dale, I'm like, you already have Chimere DK, which is like obviously not as good as Wan'Dale, but I'd kind of want a little different if you're signing a Wan'Dale.
Yeah, what I don't really get about like the Wan'Dale thing, because I do think there's like this weird infatuation with him. I don't know if it's like he looks flashy when he gets the ball sometimes, but like I don't see the ceiling in a way. Like I don't know. It's just hard for me to see like with anything. John Franklin Myers, like what are we? You're pushing 30 years old here on an interior defensive lineman that was a down year. Is this the decline? So I always try to like, okay, hey, yeah, you have money to spend. Can you fill out your roster? Try to get some depth pieces that complement and everything. Like to your point, like I don't know if did they really not have Wan'Dale's skill set? Could they not find that later in the draft? Like all these things. Definitely, wide receiver is one of those positions too that like there are so many wide receiver prospects in the draft that like you can probably find a 4th or 5th rounder that puts similar value on the field than Wan'Dale Robinson. So I would have graded the Wan'Dale Robinson as like close to a D. I don't think I just don't see the upside with him. He's always been the player that maybe it gets there. But yeah, overall, I just don't think they're spending. We have another team we're going to talk about here in a little bit that had a lot of money that spend on a bad team. I think they did a little bit maybe better, but I don't love this class in general. Like C-, D+.
2 quick points here really quickly. Obviously, Brian Daboll has had some heavy influence with the Titans. When you look at the signings, Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Bellinger, Cordell Flott came over as well. I think I'm missing someone else that was there that came over. I thought there was 4 Giants that came over. So clearly he's been involved. I think that the one thing I will say about the Titans is at least they've brought in guys for the most part that are like in the 25 to 27-year-old range. They didn't overpay for some vets on like 3-year deals. They're getting guys that are mostly coming into their prime, which I much prefer if you're going to go this route. But with that said, still not enthusiastic. And Wan'Dale might put up some good fantasy numbers, like someone in the chat said, Connor Hartle, but he just doesn't move the needle a ton for me, especially not at this price range.
No,
like his price range is similar to Doubs. Like, what are we like? What, like, I don't think those players are close. There's so much more upside on the Doubs thing. Both of them are fine age wise, but yeah, I just was shocked to see Wan'Dale. Like, I thought this was going to be like an incentives one. It gets reported like that, and then it's like, well, actually, it's $12 million per year. And like, okay, yeah, it would have been all right. But I thought this number was way, way too high for the type of player he is.
The fourth guy they brought from the Giants, Rob, was Austin Schlottman.
Interior O-line.
A backup center on a bad O-line.
Yep.
You got to pay him as your starter. It does whatever. Maybe he came with a laundry list of guys that we should sign, and apparently the GM bought it all. I just hope they don't do the insane thing of following up this free agency with the fourth overall pick in the draft. The Titans select Jeremiah Love, because then I'm just going to hit a roof about how bad this offseason was.
Running back and linebacker are possible for them at 4. So.
Yes. Well, speaking of running back, Kansas City Chiefs said, we've got a problem. We've had one for years, and let's overcorrect. We will sign the highest paid running back in free agency, 3 years, $45 million for him. Let's start with that. And then we'll get into they made a couple other small signings, Kyrus Tonga, Alohi Gilman.
Mm-hmm.
I hate paying running backs. I hate paying Walker. Like, give me Dowdle for $6 million or Algier for the same price than a guy making 250% more than both of those guys.
You know what? I think we're going to have our first disagreement here, George. I can't even believe I'm going to say this, okay? I'm with you, okay? I'm not big on paying running backs. Not at all. I love Kenneth Walker. I think people vastly overstate his durability concerns, or like they talk about the snap split in Seattle. They're like, oh, Kenneth Walker can't handle a workload. He can't be a full service back. Maybe, but when Kenneth Walker is on the field, he is one of the most complete backs in football. He can do it all. Every touch he gets, he's incredibly productive. I like the player a lot, and I like the fit a lot, where I'm willing to they're not getting a bargain here. They're paying what his market was worth. But with Kansas City, how many times could I watch these guys run on early downs with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and all these losers year after year? Like, they finally got a guy who's going to give them 4 or 5 yards instead of 0 or 1 on. Like, I just like it for them. It seems like such a natural fit that I'm willing to overcome the price tag. I'm not saying it's a home run. This is like B- range, C+, but I like this. I wouldn't want Rico Dowdle or like another scrub running back. I don't like trading for like Alvin Kamara or some. I don't want that. I want Walker. He is a stud in this offense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to be same thing. I'm going to disagree a little bit. I'm in the C+, B- range too. Which shocks myself. Like, I would have like when I saw this deal reported, I was like, man, that's probably too high for what I like. Never pay running back. He's 25, which like Rico Dowdle is like pushing 28. That's where like I think those things differ pretty heavily in terms of. We saw Rico Dowdle kind of fall off a cliff last year. Obviously, the fit thing, it's been all over the explosive runs. Like, they haven't been able to hit any of those. I think the running back, like I talked to people, like the running back's a cherry on top. And I understand they have offensive line concerns, but like Kenneth Walker is the type of back that can erase some of the offensive line concerns. And then you factor in that like Patrick Mahomes is on a crazy team-friendly deal. Like, you can afford some of these, like, I don't want to say like injustice, but like overpays to like non-premium and whatnot. I think the fit is there. Maybe there's durability because he's never been the lead guy. I don't know. Like, no guarantee that the Chiefs aren't going to draft a running back in the 4th or 5th round and kind of give him some help as well. So I think from a fact of like, he can churn out some yards, he can get some explosives, and it's not just all on Patrick Mahomes doing some crazy things. They've had light boxes forever. So like, I can get there. I understand it. It's a little weird, but I do think this is a solid. I'd rather pay a running back if I have a good quarterback than otherwise. If
we want to talk about mistakes that the Chiefs have made, Kyrus Tonga, 3 years, $21 million. Like, the guy's like a 29-year-old veteran journeyman, played alongside Milton Williams last year. He's a big guy in the middle of the defense. Yeah, you don't pay. That does nothing. You don't pay these guys. Like, what the hell is that deal?
I think, Rob, part of it is you're just happy you don't have to lose any more money on Pacheco anytime touchdown with this Kenneth Walker signing. I think that being said, like, you now have to replace your entire secondary. You've lost three corners and Brian Cook because you're paying Kenneth Walker. I want Algier for $6 million, or give me Mike Washington in like round 3 and let me pay him $900,000 a year for 4 years. I don't know.
Who are they paying in the corner though? Like that's my who
should they have paid at corner?
Well, you're saying they're paying they have to pay somebody in a way. Like who they're not paying for they traded away Watson, like Reek Woolen, they make it like so. Like I guess that's my point is the cornerback market wasn't great. So like it's all older guys, and we know the Chiefs do not go second contract on corners. So like
yeah, in hindsight, 1 year, $15 million for Reek Woolen would not have been a bad gamble for them. I don't think. Like that one was fine. I'm with you a lot. I would have went after potentially a Jamel Dean for the Chiefs as well, like a veteran guy who got a low amount, who I think still has a lot of gas left in the tank.
I liked Eric Stokes, who had a revamp in Las Vegas and got $10 million a year. I think there's some players that they could have shopped for. That being said, I'm very curious what they do with all their draft picks. They might be in play for the first corner at 9th overall. Okay, another team that paid a running back. The Saints, I thought they had an interesting offseason. They signed Travis Etienne 4 years, $48 million. They signed David Edwards to kind of boost a pretty good O-line that already exists. The one I didn't like is paying a 32-year-old linebacker 3 years and $33 million. I thought you could have spent it better. I mean, I'd rather have other linebackers for a couple million more, a couple million less. What do you make of the Saints offseason? I think they got better, but I give them C's. I just very average, uninspiring.
Very cold on this Saints offseason. Don't really like it. I mean, I'm at a D for Travis Etienne. I don't like that one at all. It's it's not even that I just don't love paying running backs. It's that I don't think he's a great back. The whole conversation around him, like at the end of the year, is that this guy's underperforming. Usually when guys underperform, the next contract reflects that. This one doesn't. I mean, David Edwards, yeah, good player. I mean, 4 years, $61 million for a guard. I don't know. Caden Ellis, some familiarity with the team. 3 years, 33. They added some useful pieces, but the spending is, in my opinion, atrocious. Like, again, team is better, but they didn't spend in the right spots at all, in my opinion. So I actually think, I don't want to quite get this to Colts offseason so far, but I don't think they've done good business, Austin, so far this offseason.
Yeah, this is like the opposite of what the points I was making with the Chiefs and with the running back fit. Like the Saints have so many more areas of need, and we don't know if their quarterback position's set. And like you're going to have money tied up into a running back who is 2 years older than Kenneth Walker. So there's factor that into the equation as well. So yeah, I don't like the whole signing. I thought the David Edwards one was interesting when you compare his money versus who went to Arizona from the Steelers? Isaac Seumalo. Yeah. He got $10 million a year. You're talking like the difference of deals there. I think those were some big differences there. So yeah, I personally think I like what they're doing on offense, and I think they're going in the right direction. This was a tough for me to get behind with the acquisitions and how much they paid for them. So they're at the bottom, near the bottom of the list for me with the overall free agent signing so far.
All right, here's another big spender, the Las Vegas Raiders. Who, let's start off with Tyler Linderbaum on an island, and then we'll get into a laundry list of guys. Linderbaum, center, 3 years, $81 million, gets $27 million. The next highest paid center is making $18 million, Creed Humphrey for Kansas City. And then Cam Jurgens, $17 million in Philly. And then there's a cliff to the next tier, which we saw signed in this offseason. Tyler Biadasz, a bunch of guys in the $13 million range. When you reset the market, and we all think he's the best center, or it's either him or Creed Humphrey, 1A, 1B, but resetting it by 50%, Rob, that's another apron here. Like he's now not just the highest paid center, Rob. He's one of the highest paid offensive linemen, period.
Yeah.
That's what astounds me.
I'll give this a C+. A lot of people be surprised by that. I think there's a general consensus out there that this is one of the best moves of free agency. Amazing player. That is not the issue. The issue, like you said, George, is that they've basically reset the center market in a way, in my opinion, that feels detached from how the rest of the league values the position. So they're paying way above what other teams are willing to pay centers. And for that to really make sense long term, the rest of the market has to catch up, right? Other teams are going to have to start paying centers in this type of range. And I just do not see that happening, especially when you consider the needs around the league. So I love the player. I think that the Raiders did some tidy business with some of the deals in free agency. I mean, they've had a lot of money to spend. They went all over the place. Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Kwity Paye. But this one I don't love. And Jalen Naylor, like, was Tom Brady like deep in the sauce when they handed out? Do they think Jalen Naylor is someone else? They confuse him with another player. 3 years, $35 million for like a guy that was a number 3 and possibly might be a low-end number 2. I don't know. Very, very mixed stuff with the Raiders this offseason, but I thought Linderbaum was a pretty big overpay, and Jalen Naylor, like, extreme overpay so far.
Austin, let me ask you a question, because this is where the problem gets compounded for me. You find starting centers in rounds 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, this is the position where you can get him on day 2 and day 3. Creed Humphrey was a day 3 center. Cam Jurgens went in, round 2. This is a position where, there's probably 4 starting centers that'll come out of this draft that will all be taken in the round 3 or later. That's what compounds the thing to me. You can solve this problem for about $26 million cheaper per year.
Yeah, I think the issue, like, I try to see the positive on it, like what's their thinking, and they get an elite player, so like you get the benefit of that. Elite players aren't very easy to come across all the time. It is, when resetting the market in a non-premium position, will always give me a little bit of nerves. I guess the thought is to try to solidify the offensive line. Like, I would have really liked this if it went through. I think my opinion changed on this. Like, if we would have done this with the Maxx Crosby deal still on board, and 14 either getting, like, if they're going to go wide receiver or if they go with one of the tackles, like, okay, now it's like, oh, you're trying to, like, I don't want to say you're trying to, like, Bo Nix in Denver Bronco this, where, like, you might have one of the best offensive lines in football and make life easy for the presumptuous number 1 pick in Fernando Mendoza. But I don't love the money. It's an overpay. There's no other way to talk about it. Pretty much every time you reset the market, it's an overpay. And definitely when it's a non-premium, it's hard for me to get there. Though the offensive line was so bad, like, maybe and they have money to spend, so, like, you have to spend it. I get it. So there's a little bit of that. I'm in that C+, B- range for this. I don't think it's a home run. He's a home run player, but again, it comes with context on what the contract is and whatnot. And, you could fall off, but we've seen, elite center like Jason Kelce has the Eagles offensive line fallen off since he's got, maybe, but I need, like, another investment into that piece for me to, like, really like maybe it would have went up to a B for me if they drafted a tackle. If they don't draft a tackle, now it's like, I still don't know if your offensive line is good.
Right.
And you just invested in a line. So, like, a little bit undecided, but I don't think it's the home run that, like, everybody, just because he's, a top 5 free agent out there. I don't think it's a home run like everybody's making it out to be.
Well, they'll be strong at left tackle and center, and that's like steps in the right direction. But to George's point, like, I was going back and looking at, I don't know, drafts in, like, the last 4 to 6 years, rounds 2 to 4, there's, like, been a lot of capable centers that have been found, right? Like Landon Dickerson, Creed Humphrey, Drew Dahlman was a 4th round pick. Tyler Biadasz was a 4th round pick. Elton Jenkins, Eric McCoy came out as a center, right? Like, and not all those guys are playing center now. Some of them have moved to guard, but you get, like, a pretty decent hit rate on those guys.
Yeah.
And it's tough. I'm a huge Linderbaum fan, but everything, in my opinion, is relative to sports betting is relative to price. It's the same thing in the NFL. You can assemble good players, but eventually you run out of money and you got to fill other spots. And resetting the market on centers, man, that's a tough look, I think.
They also paid 2 off-ball linebackers, like, a combined total of like $28 million. So
those ones I was all right with, though, because
one of them, Austin, not 2 of them. I don't know that I want a pair of.
But they had nobody. So it's one, like, I think it is one of those problems when you have that. It's kind of like what the Patriots did. Like, you have to have, like, you have to. I guess if we're talking to Tennessee, like, just get players. Like, I like Nakobe Dean, if he can stay healthy, like, super high upside. It has been good. I like that better then like they're filling like zeros that they had, right? So at least like there's that path where like, and there's upside. I can get on board with it. I can live with those deals. Like I think they've had a much better, like hey, we have cap money, we're a bad team, like compared to the Titans. I think they've been much better, but I don't think it's like, hey, this is the free agency winner of the offseason.
All right, let's get into the next one. Our good friend Dr. Eager was cooking. Anytime you can get like the second best pass rusher and like top 2 linebacker available, your defense kind of does get better. 2 different contracts though. One paying top of the market, and one I think came under what was expected. 4 years, $120 million for edge rusher Jaelan Phillips in Carolina. They also signed Devin Lloyd for 3 years and $45 million. Rob, I'm as simple as this. I think Phillips is a C just because of his potential upside. I don't like the medical, and I think they paid very strong. But like Lloyd's an A-. When you see what other, like Caden Ellis, I'd rather have Devin Lloyd, who's far younger, 2 years older, $2 million more per year, as far as I'm concerned. So A- for Lloyd and C for Jaelan Phillips for me.
Someone's going to dig this clip up in 3 years and call me a complete idiot. I think what the Panthers have done here is actually have one of the best signings in free agency and one of the worst. And Jaelan Phillips to me is one of the worst. And again, the issue is not the talent, it is the contract. 4 years, $120 million for a player that has an injury history that is incredibly aggressive. I honestly thought Jaelan Phillips might get a 1-year deal, right? I like a prove it type of contract, 1 year, $20 million, something like that. They are basically, and again, Eager and these front offices, I can agree that they're looking at stuff that maybe I'm not looking at. They have access to data, whatever. They're going in on their player. But in my view, they are paying for the ceiling version of Jaelan Phillips before he's actually proven that he is that guy over time. So he could end up being elite. I do not view him as an elite edge right now. I view him as a very good one. And if he gets there, then yes, he's justified the contract. But that is way too much to ask with the durability questions that are such a huge part of his profile. For Devin Lloyd, it's a complete opposite. Like for me, Jaelan Phillips is a D. Devin Lloyd is an A. I really like him. To me, he is a very good player, probably a little underrated. I thought the contract was extremely reasonable when you consider how many teams need linebacker help this year as well. That one just makes good sense. Good player, fair price, easy fit, much cleaner move than Phillips for me. So yeah, I think, again, it's not to say Jaelan Phillips can't be great, but like they're paying him like he's already one of the best edges in football, and he's not.
Austin?
Yeah, same. No, probably not as extreme on both ends of it. I think the Phillips deal is probably in the C- ish range for me. The issue with, again, is the durability. They only $80 million over the 4 years is helpful. You can pay for the upside. Like they do need some pass rushing help, but it's just it's not like, hey, he's coming off of injury. It's like he's never been healthy. So that's that's the concern there for a team who I don't think is necessarily close to competing. Didn't have like a ton of cap space either. So it was like kind of an interesting overpay, if you will. But then Devin Lloyd, I was just like B+, one of the better. I thought he was gonna get like 20 million per year, and for them to come in, I think it's 14 guaranteed over the course of the deal. Like I don't like, and to Rob's point, he said a lot of teams need linebackers. Everybody needs linebacker play. Like I know they get a lot of times. I feel like the non-premium positions kind of get like, oh, you don't need anybody there. Like, no, you need good linebackers to be successful. And the fact that he went for 14 million, I am shocked that more. I know that the Panthers just won the division. I think they're last in division odds this year. So like, I'm surprised more contending teams weren't bidding up for Devin Lloyd there. So, but yeah, so two different deals there. I think Phillips is probably a small loser long term. I don't think he probably fulfills that deal. Upside, sure, but Devin Lloyd, that's a good deal. That's gonna probably look in like 2-3 years like how did they get him for so cheap?
So Lloyd was my favorite signing until this next one. Let's talk about the Commanders. They actually splashed some cash. They spend 4 years, $100 million on Odafe Oweh. Then they go out and they get Kayvon Chason on a 1 year, $15 million deal. I love a 1 year deal for a pass rusher. And then they signed Leo Chenal, who I think is a good starter in the league, for $8 million a year. 3 years, $24 million. I didn't like the Amik Robertson, and I still think they got big holes in their secondary. But what do we make of the Commanders offseason so far? Rob?
You sound a lot more optimistic than I do. Odafe,
it's the Chason and the Chenal for like $15 million and only a 1 year commitment. And because he played like the last 7 games of the year, Rob, he was the best pass rusher for New England, especially when Milton Williams returned. And I thought Chenal was a good value. I don't like Odafe Oweh for $25 million a year.
I can no longer take your opinions on Patriots players seriously, George, if I'm going to be honest with you. Odafe Oweh, pretty similar to where I land on some of these other edge contracts. I'm fine with paying edge rushers. If you're going to overpay somewhere, that's one of the few spots where I can live with it because those guys can wreck a game. The issue is that it's a heavy price for Odafe Oweh. I mean, let's call it out for what it is. Solid player, going to pay him that much? I don't know. One of the better pass rushers available for sure. I get it. Is he a game wrecker? Like he's being paid like one? That's where I get uneasy. I think with the Commanders, they spent a lot of money on what I'll call middle-class guys. You know, I'm not as high on Leo Chenal, Tim Settle, Chason, like those types of players. Helpful, sure. But you're throwing a lot of money at players who are more solid with, in my opinion, limited upside than difference-making type of guys. So to me, the Commanders is a very meh offseason. Like Oweh is probably like a C+ rating. The Commanders probably fit into that range overall for me. I like them getting Mariota back because Daniels might have some durability concerns as well. So some hits, some misses, but like nothing that wowed me here, Austin.
Yeah, same. Oweh, one of the things I always kind of try to bring some context is like he's played for Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter in defenses the last couple of years. I don't want to say possibly inflate his value. Washington's had a horrible defense now for 2 years. Like, if he has to be that guy, like, can he be that guy? And you're not having these great defensive minds helping you and getting you, great pass rushing opportunities. So that's a concern for me. I think that's what his market was going to be no matter what, but I don't know if, like you said, I don't know if he's a game wrecker. I don't know if that's ever going to be his upside. Mariota's probably my favorite like signing because I do like Jaden Daniels had durability issues like when he was getting drafted. Like, so, and now that he showed that this year with multiple injuries, he has a slender frame. So I think that's their defense is just so bad. Like, I don't like Chase on it just doesn't like move the needle. It's more of just like, yeah, all right, you got guys, but they're not they're not going to
right.
Yeah, they're not going to rebuild their defense through free agency. Nobody is. Like the better free agents, like, oh, hey, that complements it well. They don't have anything, so like they got to hit on the draft. So like that's kind of where I'm just like, you're stuck in this C plus range for me, where it's just like, yeah, solid players, but nothing that's like, oh wow, I need to really, if you're doing off season stuff, like I got to really upgrade how I perceive them. I don't think they really. Like, if they were a horrible defense again next year, it would not shock me at all.
Well, you go from like bottom, 3 defense to this maybe gets you in the 25 range at best. So
you know what though? Like this is a topic for another video. I know we're doing free agency. The Commanders' range on what they can be next year is extremely wide. Because if they could get back to being like a top 10 efficiency offense, even top 5, and their defense just goes from like 32nd to 24, maybe not 32nd. The Cowboys existed last year, but bottom 3 to 24th, all of a sudden, like they're back, really is what it comes down to. And this might be enough to push them to like 24th in around that range.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about a team that many people thought was the best team in football, but had one weakness, and that was their pass defense. And then they said, we'll just blast it and overcorrect. They decide to trade for Trent McDuffie and hand him a massive contract. They trade 29th overall pick, 5th and 6th rounder and a 3rd rounder next year. And then they sign his pairing mate, Jaylen Watson, to 3 years, $51 million. I guess, what do you think of that as a whole? So let's factor in what they paid, the extension, and then Jaylen Watson is also now the 20th highest paid corner. I mean, they're far better, but man, they paid a heavy premium. They clearly said this is the one position we absolutely have to fix this year.
I like this a lot, guys. I really do. I
hold on. Context.
Yeah.
If this was another team versus
you can't do that though.
I know. They're right there. This is the last weakness they have, and it's gone. There's no weakness now. The Rams are a perfect team.
They have a history of giving up their picks to get the players that they want. And for probably 90% of the teams in the NFL, I would say that that's a pretty horrible strategy they've hit, and it works for them. I know that there's some concerns that when corners leave Kansas City, they don't fare so well in their next stops necessarily. I definitely give the Jaylen Watson move a better grade than the McDuffie move just because of the deal, right? Like, I think Jaylen Watson is just good business. It's a fair deal. The Rams badly needed help at corner. You could really see down the stretch last year how much that position was hurting them. So McDuffie is like the splashy, expensive centerpiece. Watson is the cleaner move from a value perspective. Like, you're going to pay McDuffie to be number one cornerback in the league. Probably isn't, but he's like a really, really solid guy. But the Rams, this is the window, man, with Stafford. I like it. I think it's a good piece. I think you have to understand where you are as an organization. And if the Rams eventually have to go through like a 3 to 5 year rebuild when Stafford is done, then so be it. But this is the window right now. They need corners. They got 2 good corners. I like this piece of business for them.
Austin, it helps when like Stafford and Puka, as far as like output, are probably worth around 90 million combined for the year, and you're paying like a third of that. I think that pretty much gives you a very good opportunity, because it's not just Stafford's window. Puka's a top 4 receiver that's getting paid 5th round pick money. You are stealing him too right now.
Yeah, I think that's the context that's needed to justify the trade and justify the Watson. The Watson deal is fair. Like, I don't think they overpaid for him or anything, but that's the context needed in all of these. Like, no, these teams aren't the same. You can't compare it to like, oh, well, the Cowboys wouldn't have done this. Like, yeah, they're not in the position the Rams. The Rams have hit on so many draft picks lately that they are not paying any of them. Like, Jared Verse isn't getting paid. Braden Fisk isn't getting paid. Like, all these guys are like, and you brought up like they're somehow paying Puka Nacua nothing, and he's probably worth $45 million to them. Like, so you can do this. Like, this is what they're piecing together, and they do have a track record of, this is like a decade now that they have not. They don't even go to the combine in Indy. I don't want to say they don't care about the draft, but like, they don't care about the high end draft picks. They've hit on rate. They've hit like late round stuff. They've hit as well. So like, when you build up that surplus, and this is why people talk about surplus value and why drafting premium positions early and hitting on those is so important, is, hey, we're saving $40 million on Puka Nacua, so now we can go trade for Trent McDuffie while we have Stafford in these final year, 2 years, whatever it's going to be. You don't know. Nobody really knows. So I'm good with this deal. I think this was what they needed to do. They saw like they're set for like the next 2 years. The running back rooms on rookie deals too. So like, it's going to get expensive here. The Rams are going to look different in 2 years or so. But right now, I do like these moves. I think it kind of it complements their roster and kind of fills it out and what they need to do to try to win another Super Bowl.
And I said they have no weaknesses. Rob Havenstein did retire, but I'm fully expecting 13th overall pick to be Spencer Fano, and like that not being a weakness anymore. All right, last one. And speaking of context, this is a team that has not understood that they are not close to a Super Bowl for a long time. They keep adding. They add in Jamel Dean, who's maybe in a vacuum, it's a good contract, 3 years, $36.75 million, but he's old. Rico Dowdle, 2 years, $12.25 million, $6 million for a running back. Mm-hmm. And then Michael Pittman, they trade for him and they give him 3 years, $59 million. But I just, you know what? I said rather than individually, I just gave them a C. I like the players. I think the money's pretty good. I just don't think Pittsburgh realizes where they are, Rob.
You know what? We're going to have another disagreement here.
Okay.
I love what the Steelers have done. Granted, they are very far away from a Super Bowl, but just in terms of tidy business, I think I like all 3 of these moves. Jamel Dean, I love the move. Every time I'm doing like Cowboys offseason stuff on, Cleve TA's offseason tracker or whatever, all these sites, I'm always trying to get Jamel Dean because I think he's just a really good corner at this point. And because of his age, you get to pay him a much lower percentage, much lower cap hit overall. But corner is absolutely an issue for the Steelers that they have to address. I think it's a very reasonable contract for a player who can come in and stabilize the spot right away. For Michael Pittman, I'm not some huge Michael Pittman guy. In fact, I would think that he's largely one of the more overrated receivers in the league. I don't think he's a true number one like he was in Indy, but the trade compensation was extremely light. It was just a pick swap, basically. The contract is very reasonable for what he is. I mean, 3 years at $59 million for a reliable veteran receiver with his skill set that is probably a solid number two. That to me is a sensible piece of business. Rico Dowdle, probably the one I'm less high on. I think a lot of people, they see the paying running backs. I get it. I don't know that he had a lot of juice towards the end of last year as well. You're talking about $6 million for a rotational running back. I think that's fair enough. Would I rather draft a couple of day three backs and let them compete? Probably yes. But I do not think that they overpaid on anything here. So I know the Steelers aren't competing right now, but I don't think they had any bad business here. I know, Austin, you're like, this is your bread and butter. This is, you're a PA guy, but I think the Steelers had a good offseason.
Well, listen, you accuse me of having a Patriots bias. I mean, sure, the Cowboy likes Mike McCarthy and Rico Dowdle in town.
No, believe me, no Cowboys fans are defending Mike McCarthy. I'll tell you that.
Okay. Austin, why don't you break the tie? I'm notorious Steelers hater. Think I've lost money betting against the Steelers for as long as I've been betting, my friend.
Hey, the voodoo might be gone now. Who knows? We'll see. I think it's fine. Like, I don't think it's groundbreaking. It again goes to one of those things where like they're a quarterback away from, like, I'm not saying the quarterback away from Super Bowl, quarterback away from like, hey, now we can actually like maybe contend. And whether they go with Rodgers, they're probably going to draft somebody this year in the later rounds. I think it's fine. Like Pittman, like Rob said, like 20 million for a wide receiver number two. Like DK's in there. Darnell Washington showed some things last year that like maybe he can be more in the passing game and kind of open things up. Their offensive line was solid as well. Like if they can just get more out of the quarterback position, I don't think they're actually that far away. Defense is old. That is a problem with Watt and Hayward, but I thought it was fine. Like the Dowdle moves were kind of whatever. Like they didn't break the bank or anything like that. It wasn't like they paid $14 million for a guy who was overrated. So that was fine. I don't really care for that deal, but I'm not mad about it. So yeah, I think it's like C+ off season, like just solid to where, again, you can't like, they're not in the active tank position, I guess. Like if you're gonna do that, you might as well just trade everybody away. So I think those deals were fine. If they somehow hit the lottery and get a quarterback, then like, hey, those deals look pretty good for the next 2-3 years. But yeah, I wasn't super excited about it, but I wasn't like, this is a bad move. I think they were fine.
I think you brought up the good point. Someone is going to get Kyler Murray for $1.3 million. 20th best quarterback, and you're paying him 80th best quarterback money. Like that's going to be the steal of the, like that contract instantly gets in that Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels tier. It's like the rookie quarterback contract. So if the
worse than rookie.
if the Steelers are paying $1.3 million for Kyler and Kyler looks like the 20th best quarterback, then they had a really good offseason. And then if it's the Vikings, then it's probably the Vikings. We'll leave it at that. I'm going to grade this show. I'm going to give us an A-. I think that's a good.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. An hour, 10 minutes talking free agent. I could talk this for 3 hours. We could have done every team. I didn't get to give my Cowboys spiel. I'm still waiting to see what they do with George Pickens at some point. Maybe trade him for picks at the draft. But I mean, it's fun. It's a fun time of year. Players are all over the place, but some of these contracts are.
I didn't. We didn't even get this shit on the Browns, who like strategy was like, let's just rebuild an O-line using the scattered pieces of bad O-lines, and that is their strategy. So
some of the bad O-line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe make.
I'm sure that's going to work in making one of Shadur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, or Dylan Gabriel better next year.
Did you ever watch The Big Short? where they're talking about where they take a bunch of failed bonds and put them all together and
repackage them.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what the Browns have done with their own life.
These CDO, you know.
Poor TA, man. We have to pray for that. So send thoughts and prayers to TA, man. He's mental health is a real, it's a component of life nowadays. And him seeing all the things the Browns are doing is not going to lead him down a good path.
If they go 6-24, offensive tackle, now I think you can live with it a little bit more. But
he's going to even be worse when Shieldhouse gets hired by the Bengals after the Browns. That's what's going to happen. The Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. Shieldhouse is going to be the Bengals coach, and he's still with Monken.
Yes.
Just to add insult to injury.
All right, we'll call it there. You know what? There's an electricity that exists in the live show that doesn't when you record, and I was glad to have it. Thank you, Rob and Austin, for your time and analysis. Thank you to our audience for joining us. The comments, I love it. Seeing you guys all. We look forward to when it picks up and the draft happens, and then we can get you some actual futures bets because everybody knows everybody wants bets. Thank you to Pascal for producing. Thank you to the sponsors, FanDuel. We will be back next week with another video. Hammer Daily tomorrow, 12 o'clock. If you haven't watched today's episode, go rewatch. I also talked a little bit of this offseason and gave more thoughts on Maxx Crosby. Thank you to the audience. And by the way, smash the like button on your way out and drop a comment. Helps us out in the algorithm. Have a good day, everyone. See you next time right here on Forward Progress YouTube channel.